Well, today what we're going to be doing is a paper mache bowl using my air dry clay recipe, but we're going to do it slightly differently. My partner's not here today. They're in the office. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bake this in the oven to speed it up drying. Not normally allowed to do that. Because I'm going to bake it in the oven, I can't coat this bowl in cling wrap because that will just melt. So what I'm using is a good smearing of Vaseline all the way over this bowl to stop it sticking. And I'm using quite a lot because I really don't want it to stick to this bowl. Although as it dries, it does shrink. But because it's got glue and things in it, it will stick to it. Now this is a stainless steel bowl, so I know it's going to be absolutely fine in the oven, and I'm going to put it on a low heat, so not a high heat, 130 to 135 degrees centigrade, and I will tell you what that is on the screen now in Fahrenheit. And then once this is all dry and ready, I can show you how I'm going to decorate it and what else I'm going to do to it. So I've got my clay all mixed up here. Now, if you're not sure how to make this, my recipe is on my website, free of charge, and the link is below. And I've also got a video on how to do this as well. What I'm going to do is place it down at about that thickness all the way around, because I want this to be a sturdy bowl. I'm not using any paper strips over it either. It's literally just popping this on the top of it, going all the way around, building it up. And I don't know why, when I do these sorts of things, I always find it's much easier to work from the top down than it is to work from the bottom up, trying to get the same thickness all the way through. And now we've got that completely covered. What I'm going to do is I'm going to smooth this out a little bit, because I actually do want it to have a little bit of texture, but I want it to be mainly smooth for what I'm going to do next to it. All I'm doing here is dipping my little spatula into some water and just smoothing over until I get a nice smooth finish that I'm looking for. Yeah, I'm really happy with that and how smooth that is. I'm going to pop that on a baking sheet like that, and now go pop it in the oven for about an hour. Well, this has been in the oven a couple of hours now, and it is started to dry out and firm up, and I've took it out and I've released it from the bowl, and it is actually making quite a nice bowl. Now this shouldn't change shape now, but what I've done is I've taken it out to allow it to dry fully. A few areas where I just need to go over on the inside and smooth it out again before I do anything else to it, to allow those bits just to be a little bit more smooth when it finally dries. I've decided, while it's still a little bit soft, I'm going to trim these edges up. I don't want it to be a perfect circle going all the way around or a perfect height, but what I do want it to do is be a flat edge going round. So it gets rid of those thin bits here, and so it looks more like a bowl. All I'm doing is going around with a sharp knife and just scraping off to give it a flat surface. Just having that flat edge going all the way around really does make it look much more like a bowl. It hadn't completely dried this morning, so I popped it back in the oven for another hour, and it has gone dry. It couldn't be harder. Beautiful. Only the inside I'm going to cover in these squares of paper, and then the outside I'm going to decoupage. I really wanted to have quite a uniform shape this time, so I've done myself a selection of them. Now I am going to overlap them, and any that comes over the top I will trim up once they're dry. I'm going to pop this back in the oven for half an hour to let this dry really quickly. The reason is because I want to create a rough pattern on the inside for this, so I don't want any like circular bits or triangle bits or off-shape bits. I don't mind if there's a few little creases in it, because I think that sometimes really adds to the texture and to the interest of the piece. We'll finish the inside now, so that can sit there and dry, or I'll probably put it in the oven. What I am going to do is go round the whole of the outside and just put on some little details. Now I'm not going to put on too much. I don't want it to be over detailed, because I am going to put a decoupage on the outside of that, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. But what I am going to put on there is some little balls, but they're not balls, it's some lumps. So for instance, there, I'm going to have one there, and I'm going to push that on like that. Get a little bit of water and smooth that over. Make sure it's well connected. Now the glue in the paper mache should connect this really well to here and make sure it's nicely shaped. Then I'm going to do one completely opposite that. So about here, at about the same height, trying to get it the same size. Yeah, that one's a bit too big, so I'm just going to take a bit off that and then bring it all back together. Oh God, I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, does it? We're not making a pottery bowl here that is made by a grandmaster potter. We're making just something that's just a little bit different, and it will look really good at the end, I can assure you. Yeah, happy with that size. And then I'm going to go in the middle of those and put another one each side at the same height. Nice and dry now, and lovely and hard all the way around. So I'm going to give the whole thing a paint in this, and that's just a colour that I've kind of made. That is all my leftover bits of paint I often stick in here, so that if I need to put a base coat of anything down on somewhere, then I can. And this is what I'm using it for. This won't take long to dry, and it will give me an ideal paint colour to put my decoupage over and to do my final painting technique on the inside as well. But if you haven't got a pot like this, use a white or a grey or something like that and you'll be fine. That's dry enough now for me to be able to paint the inside, and I want the inside to be a very, almost like a distressed red, so it could look a little bit like leather. You'll see what I mean as I go on. So I've got my three colours here on my silicone mat. I've got some red, some black, and some burnt umber. So first colour I'm going to put on is the bright red, all the way around, on only the inside and the rim. I think you're going to love the decoupage paper that I've picked for the outside. There we go, that's fully covered. Now, I'm not going to have to worry too much now about this being dry, because what I can do next is over the top of that. I'm going to be mixing a little bit of that burnt umber into here, like that, and then just bringing that over certain areas. No real rhyme or reason, I just want it to knock down that kind of red colour. That will shine through, but that'll be about it. And now I'm going to put a little bit of black in my red, and a little bit more of that burnt umber. Mix that in, give me brush a clean and dry it, and then I'm going to use this as a dry brushing mixture. So now that's dry, what I'm going to do is just put a colour wash over this, and it is a very, very runny, slightly darker version of that last colour I put in, and all I've done here is add a little bit more black, and I'm going to paint that all the way round like this, inside, everywhere, and a bit on the rim, like that. It's quite a warm day in here today. What you don't want it to do is dry out too much. Now I'm going to go over it with a little bit of water, just plain water. Leave that for a couple of seconds. Yeah, that should be enough. And now I'm going to go in and take that out with some kitchen paper. And if I need to redo that again, I can. It's not a problem. Kitchen paper will give me a little bit of a texture when that dries, but overall that will just give me a nice effect. My knobs are all dry now, and I've done them a bronze colour. I really quite like that against that, whatever colour that is. And the inside of there is dry. And this is what I'm going to cover it in. I've got some napkins here with balloons on. Now, I really like them. You could cover it in whatever you wanted. You wouldn't have to cover it in balloon napkins. I'm not going to put it on like that. I'm going to kind of rip these up. So I'm going to just rip bits up like that. I'm going to rip the edges as well, because I don't want any straight edges for it. I am going to take the back off because I think it gives it a nicer finish. So that's how that's going to look, and that'll sit on there like that. I'm going to do them all higgledy-piggledy. Higgledy-piggledy. When using decoupage like this, you do really want to have quite a soft brush, and I do find as well that if you push too heavy on it, you will mess it up. And I obviously don't want to mess it up. I'm not using any special glue, just white glue here that's been watered down a little bit to make it flow a little bit better, and then paint over it. I don't mind at all if it gets some crinkles in it. In fact, I think they will add to it really well. I'm going to go right up to my very edge. So I'm going to have the next bit I'm going to put there is going to go up to my very edge of where the red is, and then just paint over my glue. I'm going to do the whole bowl, including the base with it, and then I will put some felt on this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it outside and give it a quick couple of seals with this crystal clear sealer. And then I'll show you what it looks like completely finished. Well, the bowl's all finished now and lovely and dry. I'm going to use this as a decorative bowl. I put a satin varnish on the inside. And I don't know if you remember, I made these quite a while ago, long time ago. I've got a video on it. And I'm going to just use that for holding these. And I'm going to put it in my new office that I've set up ready to launch my new channel that I'll tell you more about soon. Hope you've enjoyed this project. Please boop the like button. It's really easy to do. The recipe for my air dry paper clay is on my website, but there's also a video. I will link that at the end of this one as well. Free to download. Doesn't cost you anything. I do love paper mache. It's never popular on my channel, I don't know why. To make it popular, it would really help if you shared this video. Don't forget, if you've not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Take care. Enjoy your crafting. Bye.